Whew. All right, back for another episode, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Markets with Morning Joe. I am your host, Joe Nasser, and it is 20 past 4, Sunday, March 30th. And I just made one video for you guys. This will be the second video of the day, and then I'm going to do a third one after this. So in the last video, if you haven't watched it yet, please do. I discussed mainly, really just the S&P 500 as well as the Qs. Pretty much for the most part, they're pretty much the same chart pattern. I discussed everything that happened in the past week and also the previous couple of weeks, and how we are most likely set to continue a little bit lower, but there could be a possibility of another move higher, like a counter trend bounce. But we'll see what happens this week. Truly, it's really unknown. Anything could happen, all depending on what happens with Trump and the tariffs. But I'm not going to get into that because I talked about all of that in the last video, so I don't want to waste too much time. I want to focus on some charts. Let's talk about let's go to let's start with gold. Okay, gold made an awesome move last week. It had a huge gap up on Friday. It broke 3,100. So you see, this whole week last week, it peaked up first. It broke above the $3,000 mark the week before. Okay, and it went up a little bit higher to 3060 pretty much. And then it came back down and it consolidated a few days, and it looked like it was going to make a kind of a move lower, possibly down to the 20-day moving average, a little bit below 3,000, but it didn't happen. At a huge day on Thursday, went from 3,022 up to 3,061. So a nice big reversal on Thursday, and then on Friday a massive gap higher. Okay, and I wrote in one of my last episodes from last week that gold was telling us something. Gold is signaling something. So in my research, what I've been following, what I've been learning, is that there's a very important reason why gold is moving higher. That's for sure, and I don't think it has much to do with the tariffs. I think it, and I think the tariffs are a solution to a bigger problem, which is, quite frankly, I think a recession. And we don't know if we're in a recession yet or if it's coming. Based on some business, I would say that we may already be in a recession. And because basically, when we're in a recession, they don't know it until like 6 months later. They look back at the records and they say, oh yeah, we just went through a recession. But who knows? Anyhow, all right. So gold had a huge day, a huge week. It's over 3,000. Now I told you guys in a couple of other previous videos that I was expecting gold to go up into the 3,200, maybe 3,280. I think what my number was. So I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure I measured from here, from 2,600 up to here, 26 to 29, so 370. So 370 from this low here. 370 plus 2850, call it 31, 32, 3220. Okay, so a little over $3,200. I don't know if it's going to get there. Gold really is at kind of a resistance. If you kind of take a larger chart pattern, let me get rid of this. And if I make a trend line, for example, well, I don't know if it would work from here. Let's try this from here. Nope. All right, never mind. Maybe. No, never mind. I'm not going to bother with the trend, but there were some other charts that I was looking at that showed that we're topping out. Now, depending on what goes on with tariffs, this could just rip higher. This could continue to go well over 3,200, maybe 35 or 3,600. If there is truly fear in the markets, and the rest of the markets sell off, then a lot of people will probably pile into gold, especially if Bitcoin sells off. Okay, but now we could have a move lower in gold as the markets recover a little bit, and then possibly a sell-off in the markets and a continuation move for gold to go higher. But as of right now, gold is basically kicking ass. I mean, it's outperforming the S&P and everything. Silver. Let's talk about silver. Silver had a huge move as well. Okay, silver went all the way up to $35 on Friday. This is the silver futures. All right, so it basically, let's see, it broke above these previous highs from October, but it closed lower. So it had a big move up and then it closed lower, but that's fine. It'll probably, who knows what's going to happen this coming week. It could just move up from here, or it can sell off a little bit and then break higher. But the trend is up. Silver is about to rip. That is for sure. All right, I am certain about that. It is. I mean, all the trend, the 20 and the 50-day moving averages are up. This is not going to stop here. There's no way it's going to peak up like this and then come back down. That's not going to happen. Although, it happened here. So who knows? But I think the time has come. The time has arrived. All right. Let's go to natural gas. So commodities are starting to rip. Where's natural gas? Well, let's talk about uranium. Uranium had, definitely, it looked like it was going to break. It had a nice move higher, and then it came back down. It had a huge sell a week last week. Everything, it basically sold off last week. But that's fine. I mean, long term, I am bullish on uranium as well. I think it's just gearing up to make the next move up higher. When that's going to happen, I have no idea. We'll find out. I'm not sure. I don't follow uranium too much, so I don't know if it moves similarly to oil. But this chart does look not quite like oil. If I go to the oil chart, let's go right here. It's a completely different chart, right? So oil had a huge, was much higher the last couple of years, and now it's working its way down, whereas uranium was the opposite. All right, not quite so high, but oil, not natural gas. I'm sorry, crude oil. It broke below this trend line. All right, consolidated a little bit, then broke above, and it came into the 50-day moving average, and now it basically closed right at that trend line right here. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Trump wants oil lower. Will it go lower? I have no idea. We'll see what happens with everything going on in the war with Ukraine and Russia and tariffs and all this. Who knows what's going to happen with oil? But, this move here from 80 to 65, that's 15 points. Is oil going to make its way down to $55 eventually? We'll see. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. If it gets there, how long will it stay there? That's the question. But overall, I'm very bullish on oil in the long run. Oil is definitely going higher. All right, much higher. So that's the long way from here. So let's talk about Chevron. Chevron and Exxon have had really good run-ups, which is weird because they typically move with oil, but they've been moving up. I mean, Chevron broke out of this wedge pattern that I had, and I don't know if it's going to last, right? So it had a breakout, but we'll see. If it continues to consolidate over this trend line here, then Chevron's definitely going to continue to go higher. If not, if it fails, comes back into the wedge, we still have a lot of support here. So I don't know. I mean, that looks like a very strong chart to me. And it's not just oil that they run on, it's natural gas too. Remember that. Oh, so I didn't talk about natural gas. So Chevron and Exxon pretty much look the same. All right, for the most part, Chevron looks a little bit better than Exxon. Exxon has Exxon's trading above the all three moving averages, so it's not bad. But you see how I went into this trend line that I have? This is a long-term trend line coming from, I don't know how many years ago. This was 2022. Is that? All right, let me go to a weekly chart. That's that. Yeah, 2020. All right, so from the 2020 lows, you see this trend line came from 2020, all right, it tags the low here in 2024, and then it was support for this area, these two lines right here, and then now it's resistance, right? So we just came into that resistance. However, we are slightly above the 50-day moving average, but that could change. We could get, a little bit of a sell off in Exxon. We'll see. Let's get to natural gas. All right. So I've been telling you guys in the rest of my videos that I think natural gas moves, counter technology, inverse technology stocks. Okay. So when technology moves up, natural gas gets killed. When technology sells off, natural gas has good, it goes up. All right. And so this is a weekly chart, and you can see that we had a beautiful move up, all right, all along this trend line, went over the 200-day moving average, came back down, had a nice sell-off. That was a very good sell-off back into the 20-day moving average, and then had a huge move up again, all right, and one day had a huge pop for whatever reason, tagged $4.90, and then it came back down and it sold off. But guess what? It's on a weekly basis, it's still in a very good support level. All right, so this is sitting on top of all of this from the past, 2 years or so. And the trend is up. Okay, so that's on a weekly. And if I go to a daily, we came into the 50-day moving average here. So technically, this could go either way. This could truly go either way. And I guess whatever happens in technology, we're going to see the opposite with natural gas. So if technology sells off, we're going to see natural gas come up even higher. And where's it going to go? Let's see, how did I have this? Whatever. It's going to come up to about $5. All right, so we're going to have another huge move up into that 490 area if it goes higher. If not, if it does sell off, if technology has a good move up and natural gas sells off, then we're going to come down a little bit lower. Might test the $3.20 area, but there's another trend line that I have here that's even longer term. Okay, going way back. So there's good, very, very, very good support below the 200-day moving average. I don't think it's going to get there. Maybe if we do end up making new all-time highs in the market, then that gas will sell off, possibly. But we'll see what happens. I don't think so. This is not exactly opposite of the tech sector, but it's very, very close. Right? I mean, you look at this. It had 2 green days, while the S&P and the Qs were 2 red days, right? But it's pretty much almost inverse. So all right, natural gas. So let's talk about semiconductors. Semiconductors, which is NVDA, AMD, all that stuff, similar to the Qs. All right, huge move down, consolidation that looks like a bear flag. It broke below this trend line, and it looks like it's going to go lower. We might double bottom on Monday morning and get a bid higher. We'll see what happens. All right, let's get into Bitcoin. Same thing, guys, similar. Look at this huge move down back from January. Okay, sold, and you see this trend line that I have here. Look at it. It keeps hitting the trend line, hitting the trend line, hitting the trend line. Cannot break through this trend line. There's a 50-day moving average. It sold off this week. Okay, it broke below the 20 and the 50, the 200-day moving average again. So now it's sitting at 82.5, right at the bottom of all of this support, all of this chop from the last 2 weeks. This was so annoying because I was trying to short MicroStrategies this whole time. Every time I would put a short on it, it would go higher, and it's like, son of a bitch, I should have just gone long, and I would have been fine. And then I knew it was going to come up here, and I'm like, do I short it now? Do I take the risk? But I didn't. I didn't take any shorts because I still think there's a possibility we're going to go higher again. I could have taken a quick short. I probably should have. I thought about it. I was very tempted, but I didn't. And we'll see what happens. We'll see but this is definitely telling me that Bitcoin is weak. It's weakening along with the rest of the market, and it's going to continue to sell off. And I still expect it to go into the low 70s. I think we're going to break below the 76 area. We'll get to 74, maybe even 72 or 68. Those are the numbers that I've been giving you guys for the last 2 months, ever since I started this program. Tesla, I don't really want to talk much about Tesla because there's a lot of negativity around Tesla, unfortunately, and it had a huge run up, but I don't know if it's going to stay here. It could sell off. We'll see what happens. If it stays in this area, if it can hold this area here, then we can see it go up higher to the $300 range, but that's it. I don't think it's going to go much higher, at least not for now. I think if it gets to 300, it'll probably sell off again. I could be wrong. Maybe we get to 300, sell off back down to the 250s, and then make another move up. We'll see. I don't know. I truly don't know what's going to happen with Tesla. If the market sells off, I think Tesla's going to sell off with it, and we'll probably likely see it back down into the 160, 170 range. NVIDIA looked like it was making its way up higher, right? It went up, consolidated sideways, broke through this trend line. All right, and then it came back in and it broke below, and now it closed below the trend line, which is a sign of weakness, but we have some support here at 107. So do we see it, break back up to the upside, or does it fail and continue down? We'll find out with the rest of the market. Microsoft, last week I told you guys Microsoft, I thought was doing a daily head and shoulder pattern. Turns out after a couple of weeks of watching it, I'm like, this son of a bitch, it's not closing. It closed on the daily so many times, but it reversed. But I was looking at the wrong chart. It's on a weekly time basis. And I told you guys last week, if this thing closes below this trend line on a weekly, which on a Friday, look what we did here. I told you that if it closes below this trend line, this head and shoulder pattern will be valid. And that is a signal that Microsoft is going to sell off in a big way, as well as Apple, because Apple has the same chart. All right. So now it needs to confirm. We do need a follow-up week. So we need this coming week to close lower as well. We need it to close below the trend line. If it closes back above on Friday, above this trend line, then this whole move is probably not going to happen. We'll see. All right. I'll show you real quick on Amazon. There's the line. All right. It closed below 2 weeks ago. The week before last week, it had a big move up. And last week, it went up the whole freaking week. And then on Friday, it finally came back down, which was the most important day. Friday ended the week lower. It still closed below this. So that is still a valid head and shoulder pattern on Apple, guys. Google got massacred this week. I don't have a head and shoulder pattern on Google, but it broke this long-term trend line from way back here in 23. So this 23 trend line was really good support. All right, it broke below 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, it couldn't make it up above this. This past week, it peaked up one day. Okay, right there, one day it peaked up, and then the next day it sold off. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, huge sell-off, closed lower than the previous lows. So this is not a good signal for Google. I think Google is going. I mean, it's got good support, a little bit of support right here, but I don't know how much longer it's going to hold. I would not be surprised to see Google sell off further. How low? I don't know. I will check out the charts later. I'm running out of time. Amazon fooled me. I thought Amazon was going to go higher. It broke above the 200 and the 20-day moving averages, guys. I got sucked into this one. I stopped out, but I still took a loss on this one, and it sold off on Friday with everything else. Son of a bitch. Palantir was one that I was very strongly opposed. I thought that this was going to sell off further, and it also tricked me along with the rest of the market. Right, had a huge move up Friday, Monday, and then it just reversed completely, and it still closed above my trend line right here. So there's still a chance that Palantir is going to make a bounce higher and then sell off. And I am running out of time, guys. I got 25 seconds left. Meta had a huge sell-off on Friday too, came back into the 200-day moving average, and we'll see what happens on Meta. It fooled me as well. Same thing. I mean, this last week was a fucking, it drove everybody crazy. But 8 seconds left, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful, and please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. Hit that